Welcome students. Welcome to this online series of lectures on operations research. So in this particular lecture, we are going to introduce a new concept, a new chapter called linear programming. So let's look into it. So if you have heard of linear programming, it has nothing to do with computer programming, right? The linear as itself indicates the functions, the variables which are connected with the relationships are linear. Okay? And programming does not mean computer programming, but it is nothing but the plan, right? So what do you plan for as a company? Let me give you an example of a company. If a company wants to plan to utilize their resources, they will try to maximize profit, or you can say minimize the cost. So these two are the, let's say for example, objective functions for the company. So here the company is planning their resources based on the objectives, right? So our primary objective here while solving this linear programming problem is to find out the amount of resources which are involved in maximizing, or you can say minimizing, the objective function which is involved in linear programming. So let's look into the history of linear programming. Who invented this technique called linear programming? This guy called George Danzig here. He was the inventor of simplex method, which is the basic method which is involved in solving the linear programs. Or you can see the once we formulate the linear programs, we can easily solve the method, easily solve the problem with the help of simplex method. Clear? Now, because at that time, around 50s, the computers were not that powerful. So once the capacity, you can say the performance of computers developed, like year by year, this techniques of solving the linear program also was incorporated into the mainstream industries. Now let's look into some of the basic definitions of which are related to linear program. So first of all is the decision variable. It is the amount which is decided by the company that should be increased or decreased based upon their objective, right? Let's say for example, if the company is manufacturing chairs and tables, right? This number of chairs and tables may be the object, you can say the decision variables, because by increasing the manufacturing of chairs and tables, the company can maximize their profit, right? By decreasing, they can adjust with the profit, or you can say whatever the surplus stock is there. What about objective function? Objective function is nothing but, I already said two objectives are there. For example, the companies try to maximize the profit, or they try to minimize the cost which is involved in manufacturing the product, if we talk about the manufacturing industry. So here on the right hand side, if you see here, x1 plus x2 maximize, these two x1 and x2 are the decision variables, and maximize x1 plus x2 is nothing but the objective function. Now let's talk about constraints as well. Constraint is nothing but the limitations imposed, right? Imposed. Let's say for the same example I would give, that if a company is manufacturing chairs and tables, what are the constraints involved? The constraints may be the timber, right? The wood that goes into chair and table. They will have the limited resources of this chair, for example, wood, right? In the same way, labor hours, if you can talk about the machine hours, those are the constraints. They cannot be like infinite. They have limited resources, and based on these constraints, the company has the objective function, you can say, right? Objective. What is the objective? Objective is to increase their profit. What about non-negativity constraints? Non-negativity in the sense they cannot go into negative. Always they follow the positive or zero, right? The answer, or you can say definitely with the decision variables as well, they are positive or zero only. Let's look into an example here where the company manufactures bed A and bed B, right? And what goes into it? The wood and metal goes into bed A and bed B. Clear? Here the units are also given for wood and for the metal. Also the profit is also given. The profit is here for the bed A, it is 2000 rupees, and for bed B it is 4500 rupees. Now what the company wants to do? Company wants to maximize the profit. Clear? So how do we formulate this? If we see here, this 2000 into A. Why? Because for bed A, the company is getting 2000. Now, definitely the company wants to maximize it. So the company will maximize the yield. Clear? Plus 4500 into B. So profit into number of units that are to be manufactured of bed B. That is our objective function. What about constraints? There are constraints as well. 12 units of wood goes into bed A. So 12 into A, right? And 12 units of B goes in. 12 units of wood goes into B. So 12B. Now there is one more constraint, that company has 1200 and 700 units of wood and metal available. So that is a constraint here. So what we will write, less than equal to 1200. Where does this 1200 come from? It comes from this constraint of wood. There is only wood of 1200 units available for the company. Right? Same way, 6A plus 10B. 6A plus 10B for metal, that goes into bed A and bed B. Again, what is the maximum amount of metal available? That is 700. So less than equal to 700. Why less than equal to? Because that is the maximum amount available for the company in the factory, right? So that is how we formulate the example, linear programming example here. So A is greater than equal to 0 and B is greater than equal to 0. This is the non-negativity constraint. Obviously, if you talk about the number of, like say, bed A and bed B to be manufactured, they can be 0 or positive, right? They cannot go negative. Right? That is our constraint as well. So how many we have here? We have found out here this. We have formulated here objective function, right? We have three constraints. If you see here, first was the wood constraint, metal constraint, and finally the non-negativity constraint. So why do we formulate this linear program? Based on this formulation, we can easily solve. Clear? We have converted into a mathematical model, linear programming model. Now here onwards, we can use simplex method, for example, graphical method, different methods to solve the example. Clear? Now there are certain assumptions goes into this linear programming model. As the name indicates, the linearity should be there, proportionality, that is the first assumption. Clear? The contribution of, let's say for example, the objective function for each decision variable, and it is proportional to the value of decision variable. Same goes with the constraint as well. The contribution of the these constraints, right? Against the variable on the left side of the constraint where we looked previously is definitely proportional. Proportionality should be maintained. Clear? Is proportional to the value of the variable. What about additivity? Additivity is nothing but when you add the amount, definitely the profit will increase. Clear? Or you can say that here it is written that the contribution of objective function for any variable is independent of the value of the decision variable. The value, whatever the value, the contribution of the objective function, that value is completely, definitely independent. For whatever the values of the decision variable you have taken, it is completely independent. It is not dependent upon the value of decision variable. So that is additivity. What about divisibility? The fractional values are definitely, you can say, allowed in this model. Right? Let's say for example you got the answer of 1.6 trucks, so it is allowed, but you can literally round off the values, right, to get the answer. Next is certainty. Certainty in the sense you know beforehand what is the profit. It does not take into consideration the dynamics of market, right? You know beforehand that the profit available from the so and so product is exact, certain, right? Same way with the constraints as well. Let's say for example in the previous example we looked into metal and wood. We know beforehand that whatever is available with us cannot go beyond that, right? So that is also there, certainty is also there. Clear? And here it also is written that exact amount of carpentry hours required to build a truck, the certainty assumption would be violated. Clear? Non-negativity, positive or 0, but it cannot go into the negative zone. That is in the case with the decision variables, right, which we have assumed beforehand. That is what we will be finding out when we solve the example. Now let's look into the terminology of linear programming. First of all, the solution. Whatever the solution we are getting, it is the set of values for the variables. If the variable is assuming whatever the values at the end, that is nothing but the solution, right? Set of solution. Feasible solution is that one which is satisfying the constraint. Whatever constraints we have, when it satisfies these constraints, that is nothing but the feasible solution. Infeasible, then one of the constraints will violate, right? In the sense, let's say for example 4x plus 3y is greater than or equal to 12. When one of the constraint is violated, if it is not greater than or equal to 12, then you can say that it is an infeasible solution. Means out of 2 or 3 constraints, one of the constraint is not satisfied. Then we have optimal solution when the constraint as well as the objective function is satisfied. Clear? You can say the whatever the variables we have, the equations we have got, inequalities or you can say equations, when it satisfies the constraints as well as the objective function, then it is definitely optimal solution. You can have multiple optimal solution as well. Next, how do we formulate? There are certain steps involved when we formulate linear programming. And why do we formulate? So that we can easily apply the methods to solve the linear programming problem. So first of all, if you see here, we will check what the variables are. We will disambiguously check, means you will remove the ambiguity from the decision variable, what decision making, right? We will classify them into whatever you can count as a mathematical model, you can count as a decision variable. You will identify them, right? So that is the first step. Second is, what is the objective? Objective in the sense that by increasing or decreasing those variables, let's say for example, which we are deciding or which we are focusing on. So by increasing them, we can increase the profit. So that is our objective. That is, we convert into objective function, right? Then we will also look into the constraint as well. Now we can, let's say for example, if a company is manufacturing same, I will give the example of chair and table, right? The company can go up to, you cannot go up to the infinite profit based on the constraint, based on the limitations of labor hours, manpower, right? The availability of raw materials. Based on that, those limitations and constraints, the company will go with the objective function of maximizing the profit. Okay, so those are the constraints, variables, and you can say the these objective functions. The company will go with this formulation of the linear program. Now let's look into the advantages of the linear programming. So first of all, definitely we can decide beforehand. This is a decision making. Beforehand, the company can decide what is the manpower available, or you can say how much quantity to produce so that they can maximize the profit, or in other way, how much the quantity can be reduced so that they can utilize the resources in the maximum way or with minimum cost, right? So that is our first focus, or you can say the advantages of linear programming. Next is that the resources can be definitely utilized. Easily you can utilize the resources. So these two, resource utilization definitely as well as the decision making, are two of the benefits of linear programming. And there are some bottlenecks. Let's say for example, if in a manufacturing scenario you have series of machines and some of the machines are productive, or you can say the important, essential for manufacturing, rather than a couple of machines in between which remains idle, right, for a long time. So if they remain idle for some unknown reasons, let's say for example maintenance, frequent maintenance, then they can create the bottlenecks in the manufacturing scenario. So linear programming can definitely identify these bottlenecks. There are, see, based on these assumptions, definitely those assumptions are also the limitations of linear programming. So first of all, the linear, as the name indicates, in practical life, not all the functions are linear, right? They are non-linear. And objective functions as well as the constraints, right, which we already assume that they are linear. Secondly, the uncertainty in times, the fluctuations, market dynamics, those are not, we already know for certain the profits we are going to make beforehand when we are formulating the linear programming problem. Next is only single objective. We'll see there are multiple objective problems as well we try to tackle in the research areas of linear programming, but in general fields you have single objective. The focus of linear programming is on single objective only. And non-integer values, those are the, let's say for beforehand, take into consideration that those are the non-negativity constraints, greater than or equal to 0. If the answer is non-negative, then we literally, there the limitations of linear programming comes. And also integer value we will get, right? Sometimes we have to round off the figure, like let's say for example if we got the answer of 1.68 trucks, it does not make sense, so we round off. So that over there it does not make sense, right? We do not get a precise solution from the, so these are some of the linear programming limitations. Now let's look into the examples of linear programming. First of all, let's look into the first example, where a corporation called Nachiketa manufactures two products, A1 and A2, right? Their machines are given here. A1 profit per unit is 50 and 60. From A1 and A2, the profit is also given, right? The processing times from three machines, right here, this M1, M2 and M3, these three machines are there. Their processing times are also given, right? And what is the availability for these three machines per week is also given. See, 22 hours for the machine, the first machine, 25 for the second machine, and 28 hours per week for the third machine. What we have to find out, we have to formulate the linear programming program based on this data. So what will be the first step? We try to decide what the decision variables are. That is our first step. Clear? So here A1 and A2, the products to be manufactured are the decision variables. So we have decided the decision variables first. So by increasing those, we can increase the profit for the company. Clear? Now let's look into the objective function here. Step 2, that is. So we have to maximize the profit, right? So what is the price of, the profit from the A1, that is 50 rupees. So 50 into A1 plus 16 into A2, that is the profit involved from the, got from the A2, right? So that we have got the objective function as well. So we will look into the constraint as well. So what is the constraint here? The constraint here is already written here. If you see in the table that from machine 1, the availability is only 22 hours, not more than that. So less than or equal to. Clear? Same with the second machine and the third machine. So let's formulate that as well. So here if you see, I have written here subject to, that is this program objective function is subject to the constraints here 4x1 plus 2x2. Here x1 and x2 is nothing but the A1 and A2. Remember this thing. A1 is the product x1, A2 is the product x2. Clear? So x1, x2 are the two decision variables which indicates the product A1 and A2. Number of A1 and A2 to be manufactured. Now 4x1 plus 2x2 here if you see is equal to 20. Sorry, greater than equal, less than equal to 22. Why less than equal to? That is the maximum availability of machine, first machine. For the second one, it is 3x1 plus 2x2 less than equal to 25. And for third, 5x1 plus 4x2 less than equal to 28. And finally, non-negativity constraints x1 and x2. Obviously, the number of products to be manufactured greater than equal to 0. That is, we have to also add this non-negativity constraints, right? So this is the formulation of the first example. So let's look into another example. The factory uses three machines here for manufacturing of part 1 and part 2. This table represents the constraints. What is the availability? Let's say for example for the lathe, milling, grinding, and based on this data, and if you see here the maximum time available for the lathe machine, milling machine, grinding is given here. Profit is also given for part 1, that is 40, and for the part 2 it is 100. So what is our first step? We will try to identify what is the decision variable. So step 1, x1 is the number of part 1 to be manufactured and x2 is the number of part 2 to be manufactured. That is our step 1. What is step 2? We will identify objective function. What is the objective function here? The company tried to maximize the profit from x1 and x2. So what is the profit from x1? That is 40. So 40 x1 plus 100 x2. That is the overall profit, right, from part 1 and part 2. So what the company is going to do? Company is going to maximize it. So when we convert it into objective function, it is maximize z is equal to 40 x1 plus 100 x2. So that is our step. Now what is step 3? We will formulate constraints. So what are the constraints? Constraints are the machine hours of three machines, lathe, milling and grinding. So the lathe machine can goes up to 3000 hours per week. and 12x1 plus 6x2 for these two parts, and it also goes to up to 3000 hours in a week. So that is our first constraint. For milling, milling machine can goes up to 4x1 plus 10x2 less than equal to 2000. That is the constraint for milling. And finally for grinding, 2x1 plus 3x2 less than equal to 900. So that is our third constraint. And obviously we also have to add x1 and x2 greater than equal to 0, which is the non-negativity constraint, because the part 1 and part 2 to be manufactured, they have to be positive, and or you can say equal to 0. If we are formulating, if we are finding out the answer of part 1 to be manufactured and part 2 to be manufactured. So in this way you can formulate the example of linear programming. Let's look into another example. A firm plans to purchase at least 200 quintals of scrap containing high quality metal X and low quality metal Y. Now the purchase of scrap, here you can see the constraint is given at least 100 quintal of X and not more than 35 quintal of Y. So these two are the constraints for X and Y metal. Another constraint is that the firm can purchase the scrap for two supplies. There are two suppliers given, A and B. Clear? If you see, if the first line, the at least 200 quintal of scrap, that is also, you can say, the constraint the company has given. And the percentage of X and Y is given in this table here, based on the terms of weight of scrap to be supplied by A and B. The price of supplier A scrap is 200 per quintal, and for supplier B is 400 rupees per quintal. Now as a company, what the company will try to do when they are purchasing, they will definitely try to minimize the purchasing cost. So let's formulate this linear programming problem. First of all, what is the first step? We will try to define the decision variable. So two decision variables are here, A and B quantity, that is in the quintal, clear, to be purchased from these two suppliers. So what we will do here, A and B suppliers are given here, clear. So the company wants to minimize it. Now here 200 and 400 are already the values here. If you see here, the price from supplier A is 200 and for B it is 400. Now together, if you are combining the objective function in this step 2, the company wants to minimize the contribution of these two suppliers, which is nothing but minimize Z equal to 200A plus 400B. Obviously A and B are greater than equal to 0, which is non-negativity constraints. Clear? Secondly, one more constraint is there, that A plus B should be greater than equal to 200. Where did we get this? Here if you see the first line, the firm plans to purchase at least 200 quintal of scrap. So that is our first constraint. Clear? That is the maximum purchase constraint. Second constraint is that it should contain at least, the ratio is given here, 25% from supplier A and 75% from supplier B. So if we convert it into the mathematical model, it is coming out to be 1 by 4 of A plus 3 by 4 of B, and obviously it should be greater than equal to 100, which is imposed as a constraint. If you see the first line, it decides that the scrap to be purchased must contain at least 100 quintal. Clear? So that is greater than equal to 100. If you see second constraint, it should contain not more than 35. So not more than 35 means less than equal to 35. And obviously 1 by 10, how did we get here 1 by 10? So 10% is 1 by 10 and 20% is 1 by 5 of B less than equal to 35. If we convert into simple form, A plus 2B less than equal to 350. And obviously non-negative constraint is there, A and B should be greater than equal to 0. So in this way we have looked into 3 classic examples of linear programming. What we did here, we have just formulated these examples. We have not solved them. We have formulated into a mathematical model based on the given data, right? The data was given in an ambiguous way. We converted into a mathematical model with different steps. From first step, we decided the variables which are involved, right? Second was to formulate the objective function. What the company wants to do, company wants to maximize the profit or minimize the cost. And third step, we also identify the constraints with the limitations the companies are imposing, right, for the manufacturing. So based on these three steps, we can easily formulate the linear programming problem. Why formulate? Because based on formulation, we can easily solve the problem, right? It depends. We cannot even solve it, depend upon the complexity of the problem. But based on formulation, we can easily solve the problem with the help of simplex method, BigM method, two-phase. There are variety of methods available for solving the linear programming problem. So in this way, in this lecture, we have formally introduced the concept of linear programming, what is linear programming, and we looked into the examples of formulation of linear programming problem. Thank you.